AITA for refusing to pay from my gay son's tuition after he came out to his family. My 40th son, 19M, came out to my husband, 40M, and I when he was 14 years old. My husband and I are both atheists and support the LGBTQ+ community, and we're both proud of our son for coming out. However, my husband's mother is a devout Catholic and is extremely intolerant of gay people. She is wealthy and my children were told from a young age their college would be paid for as long as they attended a private Christian or Catholic school. She believes this will keep them from partying, having premarital sex, etc. I don't agree with this and have argued my children getting the best education possible, regardless of the school's religious affiliation, should be her top priority, but she refuses to change her mind. My son chose a Christian college one state over to attend. He graduated with a lot of college credit from taking many AP classes in high school and will be done in 3 years opposed to 4. He's currently just began year 2 which has been already paid for. During Labor Day weekend, he came home to celebrate his grandma's birthday. He told one of his cousins that he was talking to a boy at his college and thought he could trust him. He seemed supportive according to my son, but he told his mom and dad and my husband's sister and her husband are just as religious as my mother-in-law and outed my son to her. She is livid and called me and informed me she will not be making any future payments toward his tuition and told me to relay the message to him as she will no longer be speaking to him. I have told him many times not to come out to his grandma, cousins, aunt or uncle until he was through with college. I hate that he can't be himself, but my husband and I cannot afford his college. I don't like my mother-in-law and will be going no contact once my other 2 children 15F and 13 meters get their chance to have their tuition paid for as well. My son is okay with me waiting to do so for the sake of his siblings. He will unfortunately have to take out student loans and eat the cost of his final year. My son is obviously devastated he both will not have his final year of college paid for next year and that his cousin is not someone he can trust. He now wants me and my husband to foot the bill next year. We have $25,000 saved up currently that we plan on using for much needed kitchen renovations. Our oven barely works, our dishwasher doesn't work at all, and the kitchen itself is worn down and outdated. My son is calling me an asshole for prioritizing to a remodel over his education. We've explained to him our kitchen is falling apart and it's much needed and is nowhere near the cost of his tuition, so even if we postponed it, we would still be short as his private school is very expensive. I feel like he is an adult and he needs to be the one to deal with the consequences, not us. AITA for not using our family's savings to cover his remaining tuition. Edit. I feel like I should clear up the kitchen remodel. Obviously appliances alone aren't going to cost me $25,000. The majority of money are going to be going to necessary infrastructure repairs. I live in an expensive area, and yes, this is what it costs to fix just the necessities. My kitchen will in no way be fancy. I should have been more clear in the original post that I am not doing remodel for aesthetics. AITA. Not because you can't afford it and letting your adult son figure it out. But for saying it was his fault he lost his money. In this entire post you are more angry and disappointed in your son instead of your bigot parents. You are more angry at your child than at the little tattletale who vomited homophobia at the first chance they got. Trying to hide yourself is so fucking hard, and you expected your son to not have any public relationships for years and years? You say I hate that he has to hide himself, but the moment he tripped up, you said, well sucks to be you, now fuck off. You're not as accepting as you seem. Deal with the consequences for being gay. The son should face consequences for being gay. He lost his education for being gay. He lost his grandparents for being gay. He lost trust in his own family for being gay. He may face extreme prejudice and death threats for being gay. But sure, let him face his consequences for not working harder to hide that gayness, am I right, op? I mean the kid has been hiding it since he was 14. No boyfriends, no social media, no pride, no rainbows, no dances, no prom, no dates, no public displays of affection like hand-holding, and then asking the entire family to lie for years and years and years, But yeah. Consequences. That kid should have tried harder, NTA. In truth, the problem is your bigoted mill, not you or your son. However, you just cannot give your son what you cannot afford. He will simply have to take out a student loan, but maybe he could transfer his credits to a state college, which would probably be less expensive. He could also possibly look at ways of paying back his loans through community service, like Teach America or the AmeriCorps. He can still get a great education if he puts his mind to it. Tell him to go speak to the financial aid person at his college. He can apply for grants and loans. He's not the first person to have to help pay for his own education, and he won't be the last. Offer to help pay a small portion instead of expecting your mill to pay according to her homophobic rules. You can take out a loan as well, for his education and/or your stupid kitchen. Info. How are you gonna deal with future holidays? Your youngest is 13. That's almost 10 years until you can cut her off. You're gonna enable her for the next 10 years? Edit. AITA. Not for refusing to pay. You're allowing her to exclude and shame your son in exchange for cash, while she still gets to play grandma with your other kids. While telling your son to deal with his loss. Edit. I'm not saying Op is tough for taking the money. Or for refusing to cut off the grandma. She could have told her son to get a job to save. They could have saved on the side since she knew that one of her kids could lose out on tuition. She's not obligated, but it's not unreasonable for a supportive parent to do that. She knew this could happen and yet there's no clear backup plan. Instead she waited and is now telling her son to deal with the consequences of a situation she also created. AITA for sending the police to the airport to retrieve my mom's jewelry set that my husband took to give to his mom for her birthday. My husband, M33, adores his mom. He's the only child in the family and they're very close. He'd buy her expensive gifts for her birthdays, but this year, he's been stressing out about finding a proper gift for her. Since he's been unemployed for 6 months now, he brought up the jewelry set my mom gave me and asked if I was willing to give it away so he could use it as a gift for his mom's birthday. I said no and thought that his request was strange. He pointed out how many other things I have of mom, which is true, but the jewelry set wasn't something I was willing to give away. Especially not to his mom. He got upset and pitched a fit and kept begging me to give it to him. Even afford to buy it off of me, but he has no money, so he's suddenly stopping bringing it up. At the day of his trip to go visit his mom and attend her birthday. After he left the house I found a small note that he wrote mentioning he took the jewelry set with him and telling me to not panic or do anything stupid and that we would talk about it when he gets back. I was furious but felt helpless. I thought I was never going to see the set again. I called his phone, but he turned it off after hanging up on me. I called my older cousin who works at the local police station and told him what happened. He suggested I make a report so he could help me retrieve it. He then sent police patrol to the airport where my husband was, and he was taken in and his ticket cancelled. I got the set back and he eventually was let go of, but when he got home hell broke loose and he started yelling at me while cussing out my cousin, calling him a stuck-up, saying we both were horrible and out of line and that I knew my cousin hates him and gave him an opportunity to humiliate him. He then yelled about how he missed his mom's birthday and had his trip ruined just because I hate his mom this much. I don't hate her, but I don't want my stuff given away on my behalf. He was livid to the point where he went to stay with his buddy for 2 days without answering any of my calls. I'm seriously having regrets about it, but what was I supposed to do after he took my jewelry set and had me thinking that I may never see it again? Getting my cousin involved might have also just worsened his relationship with my husband, since they never been on good terms to begin with. AITA for involving the police as a way to get the set back? NTA. I know it gets tossed around a lot here, but this is actually divorce-worthy for your own financial, emotional, and physical protection. He obviously loves his mom more than he loves her. When he lies and steals from her, then gets mad at her when he gets stopped. What a dick. Have him move back in with his mommy. This will never stop. NTA let him stay at his buddy's forever. Seriously. Divorce. He stole from you, lied to you, blamed you, is throwing a tantrum BC he got caught out in his theft, puts his mum before you, is manipulating you, and verbally abused you. He is jobless and mooching off you. Yay nah. Leave. NTA. He stole from you and expected you to sit quietly and do nothing. Stealing has consequences. Taking stolen goods through an airport. Well. He's lucky the consequences were only that the police had to retrieve the stolen items and cancel his flight. Stealing from your wife also has consequences. Hopefully those consequences include taking a step back and considering if there's been any other instances of disrespect and if that pattern concerns her. He could have just told his mum he was in a bit of a rough spot financially and her gift was going to have to be him paying for flights and turning up. Maybe even a cute lunch together for bonding and shit. And you didn't ruin your cousin's relationship with him. You shared, factually, your husband's behavior. That's your husband ruining relationships, not you. NTA. If you steal things you will get in trouble. Most small children understand this, but apparently your husband doesn't. And made worse by the level of deceit and calculation involved, and then the reaction afterwards. I mean, a person committed theft, and you reported said theft. I think the fact that your husband was willing to steal from you to appease his mom is so wildly inappropriate I can't even begin to explain it. You're NTA. He is. In so many ways. If he's not considering your needs in his desperate endeavors to make his mommy happy, he doesn't have his priorities right. NTA. It's not even a question. Your husband stole your jewelry after you explicitly told him not to take it. He knew what he did was bad since he left a note. You should rethink your marriage and be careful with your stuff. Since he's unemployed, he might try to steal more from you.